Jumpin In on Manx Radio.
With Howard and Chris Kane.
Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome. Can it be that time again? I don't just mean 9 o'clock on a Saturday night for Jumping In with Chris and myself, H, but can it really be we're already thinking about the best records of the year?
Yes, welcome along to this week's show, and who could believe it, just 7 more sleeps. Where did the year go? And once again, a not really new anymore nor any more normal year, despite the challenges of living with COVID. We have attended a real live jazz festival and actually had a bumper year for jazz releases with surprises in all directions. A lot of new and up-and-coming faces, as well as some old and in unfamiliar places. So this week we're diving into part 1, as H said, of our pick of the year. Now, there are quite a few jazz albums of the year lists around, so the question is, do we agree with any of them? H, what's been your pick of the crop? Was it a difficult weeding them out, or did you just stick in your furrow and plough on regardless? Non-gardening related similes are of course available.
Oh, something old, something new, as they say. All sorts, some really good stuff from trusted old names and some new names I've been really enjoying as well. So this evening, a bit from the principal, Alonso Demetrius. Wonderful album I enjoyed coming out earlier in the year. Feeling Uneasy with VJ Iyer. He's been knocking around for a time and bringing out one of his best yet, I think, on ECM. And also a well-known name with a name not so well-known to me, Michael Wolff and Mark Isham live. Great stuff.
And from me, another Earth, a Broken Bloom, and Agreement Kept. And we start by deepening the river with Paul Towndrow. The truth about this extraordinary year has been in part that musicians are just really glad to get out and make music again. And with regards to releases, there have been more than ever in the last quarter of this year, which I think shows that they're not thinking about lists, but will mainly filter through into next year's. But one that firmly deserves that place in my list is saxophonist, educator and composer Scott Paul Towndrow's extraordinary Deepening the River Suite, which tells the story of the trade on the Clyde over the centuries, encompassing many, many different styles and countries on its journey, and it's been quite a ride for him to get the album released. Originally started as a commission for the City of Glasgow Festival in 2018, then got a repeat live performance at the prestigious 2019 Celtic Connections Festival, culminating in a funded recording in 2020 in pandemic conditions. And my word, how hard must it have been to get 24 global and Scottish musicians together to record this album. A true work of the heart. It's been universally acclaimed and actually has made it into most of the UK lists. Go and get yourself a copy. Deepening the River.
Some great stuff kicking right. It has been a wonderful year in many ways, despite the trying circumstances. Maybe, who knows, because of the trying circumstances. Sometimes the worst brings out the best, doesn't it? Or a change or the stress or whatever can actually inspire people, bizarre though it might sound. I think it can be true at times. VJ Iyer, Uneasy, his latest on ECM. Many critics, I think, seeing it as one of his best, if not his best to date. Numerous albums out under his own name with a variety of other artists. This one with an all-star trio: VJ on piano, Linda Mahan O bass, Taishan Sori at the drums. And a real potpourri, sort of, again, there's a great mixture of different sounds and emotions, I would say, going on. He said it was music harking back to 2011 when he did a project for a dance company. He said a decade later, as systems teetered and crumbled, the word uneasy, the name of the album, feels brutal understatement, too mild for our cataclysmic times. He said perhaps since the word contains its own opposite, it reminds us that the most soothing, healing music is often born of and situated within profound unrest. Yes, really been enjoying that one through the last year. Came out early at the beginning of the year, and we're looking basically at albums that came out in the first half of 2021, and then we'll have our, funnily enough, second half a bit later on, along with, of course, our Christmas jazz party special, which might not be modern jazz so much as just, the usual Satsuma's, glass of sherry, and Christmas jazzy themes.
There's no mince pies last year. Shocking.
I've got some mince pies this year, yeah. So yeah, we're all safe on that one. VJ Aya. Sometimes his music can be quite intense, and some of this, again, there's a real mix. Some of it's really quite dense, some of it's really quite flowing. There's a cover in it. There's some really quite sort of emotional music, and he says it's a real roller coaster in many ways of an album. And as you were saying before, talking about the most turbulent music can contain stillness, coolness, even wisdom. And he goes on to say, with this collection of uneasy pieces, composed over a span of some 20 years, we paid tribute to both the loud and the quiet, the quick flurry and the slow rise, the hurricane at its eye, the uprising and its steady dream of abolition. Beautifully put.
Yeah, very, very nice album that actually. And next for me, another album which could quite happily sit at home on ECM. Moroccan pianist and composer Jean-Marie Machado. With an Italian-Spanish mother and a Portuguese father, his music very much represents not only his travels, but the variety of music and cultures he's picked up along the way. From his recent release, Majaka, here's Outra Terra. Rather very otherworldly indeed, Outre Terra, as it means, from Jean-Marie Machado and his quartet, and their recent release, Majaka, meaning lighthouse. Majaka is Finland's tallest building, and this is no ordinary quartet either, taking percussionist Kevjan Chermiri's use of the Zarb goblet drum. You haven't got one of those, have you?
I don't think I have.
A Zarb goblet. It gives it a nice sort of a Middle Eastern flavour, with multi-reed player Jean-Charles Ricard, who uses, when he's on soprano, I think he's reminiscent of either Andy Shepherd or Tim Garland, both of whom recorded with him previously. Jean-Marie and Vincent Segal on cello, no bass. The album was recorded at the famous La Buisson studio, where Ahmad Jamal's classic Saturday Morning was recorded. And Majaka, to quote one reviewer, is a record that you will not only desire and need to own, but you'll want to live in it.
Amen to that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Christian Sands. You're listening to Manx Radio, Jumping In with Chris and H.
terrific stuff. I've been really enjoying that one. Alonso Demetrius, it goes there straight into another track there as it's part of a suite live from the Prison Nation. And it is live. Again, coming out of a long line of sort of protest works. And again, obviously, Prison Nation is referring to the treatment of blacks within America and such like. A young trumpeter out of the stable of the great drummer Ralph Peterson, who we lost, I think, in the last 12 months. And as this review, I was looking at one I read online saying, whoever says jazz is dead clearly hasn't heard of Alonso Demetrius. I would agree. Got a lot going on about him there. Some lovely playing there. A bit like sort of, I'm thinking sort of like Jeremy Pelt and some of those young players as well. I'm sure he's been listening to. And yes, on the label of the now sadly no longer with us, like I said, the legendary drummer Ralph Peterson on his Onyx label, and a wonderful sound. Again, nice subtle use of electronics. I'm looking forward to hearing more from him. We better mention the rest of the guys in the band, haven't we? So Alonso himself on trumpet, Yesser Fiora Ali on saxophone, Daniel Abraham Jr. on piano, Benjamin Jefter on bass, Brian Richburg Jr. on the drums. The first instrumental record produced by Onyx Productions outside of the works of Ralph Peterson himself.
Very nice indeed, yes. Now, next an album I played actually on the show quite recently, which has made the cut with many of the reviewers' lists. James Brandon Lewis and the Red Lily Quintet with Jessup Wagon. Due to the lateness of his subsequent Code of Being album, which I haven't yet featured, I suspect that will grace next year's lists. However, taken from Jessup Wagon, here's Fallen Flowers.
Streams of tears run through trails of unseen landscapes. Soulless water never seems to dance like ballerinas. Raindrops of 1,000 needles pierce skin, a punctured heart. A collapsed wall amounts to I don't give a damn. Talking plants hug resilient vessels.
as you can gather.
Mike
Live.
Clark on the drums. John D. Williams on the bass. Mark Isham on the trumpet. And Michael Wolf. Live at Vitello's. What a great place to play. What a great place to record.
Hey, he's saved me a lot of trouble there, hasn't he? He's done my job for me. Thanks, Michael. Well, you gather that. Yes, live at Vitello's. Actually recorded a decade ago, 2011, long before all the current unpleasantness, shall we say. With Mark Isham, as he said, you don't often hear him in that live setting. I haven't heard him for a while, some cracking albums, but he does an awful lot of film soundtracks and has made himself a very wealthy man doing that. I think the jazz is a bit of a sideline now, purely for fun, although I'm sure they give him a few quid as well. Nonetheless, a great sound, that one. The track was called La Griappa, a swinger, I think, a great... Yeah, it's got sort of blends the old with the new, bit of tradition, bit of a modern sort of sound, as it says in a reviewer's reading, speaks to the power of live music and the eternal quest to bottle and preserve that magic. It came out on Sunnyside. It was recorded, like I said, in 2011, came out in the early part of 2021 on Sunnyside, and is well worth your attention.
Dig Sunnyside out if you don't know them. They've got a vast catalogue, been going for quite a long time, and there's some lovely music on there. Well, that's about it. This is the first part of our best of the year. Next week we are on the big day, even twice on the big day, and when you just about at the time when you found yourself unable to consider even a tiny morsel more. But you can still fit in the traditional Jumpin In Christmas party, complete with sherry and mince pies this year, as Howard says. But before that, just a taste of perhaps one of the most surprising releases of the year from Manchester-based electronic musician and DJ Floating Points, AJA Sam Shepard, with the free jazz legend saxman Pharoah Saunders, now 81, and the LSO in the ethereal and esoteric suite called Promises, based around a simple 7-note piano phrase that repeats every 9.5 seconds. You can count that. Trust me on this, it's worth it, and made nearly all the lists. See you next week on the big day.
Be festive.
Bye for now.
Mm-hmm.